Hello, and welcome to the Earthbound Beginnings Iceberg. I spent quite some time making this video, and please give a round of applause to Khaj Super Smash Bros. Mother 1/Earthbound Beginnings Iceberg. I will link the original iceberg in the comments, and once again, thanks Khaj for the iceberg. And remember to like and subscribe if you want. It's free, and you can always change your mind. The Mother vocal album was released in Japan in 1989, and was a collection of tracks recorded throughout England and Japan. That album had 11 tracks, 7 of which had vocals, and was a collaboration between several artists such as Catherine Warwick, Jeb Million, and the St. Paul's Cathedral Choir. The songs were Pollyanna, I Believe in You, with the lead vocalist being Catherine Warwick, Being Friends, whose lead vocalists were Catherine Warwick and Jeremy Holland Smith, The Paradise Line with Jeb Million as the main vocalist, Magic Hand, Wisdom of the World, performed by Catherine Warwick, Flying Man with the lead vocalist being Louis Felipe, Snowman, All That I Needed Was You, whose lead vocalist was Jeremy Budd, Fall in Love, 8 Melodies performed by the St. Paul's Cathedral Choir, and Welcome to the World of Mother, a collection of Earthbound Beginnings songs. 2 bonus tracks were included in a 2004 re-release, which were Welcome to the World of Mother Extended, which has a whopping 43 songs, and a demo track of Smiles and Tears from Earthbound. The songs were recorded in English due to there being a planned global release that was cancelled in 1991. In December 2015, it was re-released by the Ship to Shore Phonograph Company and was finally available for the West. Mother 1 and 2 is a port of Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound for the Game Boy Advance, released on June 20th, 2003 and re-released on February 2nd, 2006. It was only for Japan, and the thing I know best about it is the worst audio compression in between Earthbound on SNES and Earthbound on GBA. The SNES audio hardware was more complex in several ways than the audio hardware of the GBA system, leading to several changes and making several songs sound inferior to the original. I will say though, some songs sound much better to the original, like Battle Against the Machine, as well as the 16-bit parts of Pokemon's Business. Oh and yeah, this is the Earthbound Beginnings Iceberg. Clyde Tomato Mandolin, a notorious Mother series fan and professional translator, made an English patch for the Earthbound Beginnings section of Mother 1 and 2. Jeff Mann, another translator, made an English patch for the Earthbound section of the game. The clay models were made for promotional material and have been used for commercials, box art, and as spirits in the Super Smash Bros. Series. This marketing trend also carried into Earthbound. There was some confusion between if they were actual clay models, with some believing they were paper mache due to a translation issue, but now we know that they are made out of modeling clay. Written by Sayori Kumi, real name Ineko Hatano, and released the respective years of their games, 1989 for Earthbound Beginnings and 1994 for Earthbound, there haven't been any official translations, but I will outline some in case you want to read them. Kinesu, who you'll see in a couple minutes, had a first draft of the Mother 1 novel, while Chewy, another member of the Earthbound fandom, did a first draft of the Mother 2 novel. Tomato summarized some of Mother 1 and Mother 2, with Kiyosuke helping his Mother 2 translation. Sayori Kumi was reached out to by Chewy and would have loved to give her a go-ahead to officially translate the Mother 1 novel into English, but due to licensing issues, she couldn't. There are plenty more, but you get the idea. Okay, so I'm going to clear up things I should have cleared up earlier. Mother is the first installment in the Mother series created by Shigesato Itoi. It was released July 27, 1989 as Mother and was translated into English in 1990 by Phil Santop and Miyuki Kure, with a planned 1991 release as Earthbound, which is 2 separate words instead of the usual combined word. Several issues, including marketing issues, financial issues, and the approaching release of the SNES, led them to not releasing the English translation. In 1998, the fan translation group Demi-Force found a beta cartridge on eBay and organized an effort to buy it. They succeeded and leaked it online as Earthbound Zero, as to differentiate the game from the sequel Mother 2 or Earthbound. On June 14, 2015, nearly 26 years after its English release, it was released on the Wii U Virtual Console in English as the Earthbound Beginnings, using Phil Santop's original translation. His translation changed dungeon layouts from move blood and knives, changing lighting on the female robots, changing NPCs because they resembled the Peanuts characters Marcy and Pigman, and several other changes. But I definitely couldn't include all of the other changes. The Mother One Japanese TV commercial was, like the title of the section says, a commercial for Mother One consisting of Lloyd, Ninten, and Anna pulling up R7037 with PSI and then standing in front of a mounted toy with the vocal album rendition of 8 melodies in the background. Lloyd points at mounted toy, and in Japanese, a narrator says, "No crying until the ending," and "Guaranteed masterpiece." I couldn't agree more. It then says, "Mother, the newest Famicom game from Shigesato Toy is at last complete." I really loved this commercial, but there's a bit of a mystery with this commercial. No one knows who the kids are. Since it's a commercial, they don't have to list actors and the like, leading actors being completely unknown, with little to no hope of ever finding out who they are. If you have any leads, please tell us in the Mother community. We need any help we can get, and we would love to see you around, I'm sure. Another thing is that Ninten's design in the commercial is different from his in-game design and clay model designs, with different color stripes on his shirt as well as a neckerchief. The community has latched onto this design and uses this to differentiate Ninten from NES. On to Tier 2. Like I said in the Earthbound Beginnings naming section, Phil Sandhop's English localization was cancelled because of so many reasons, but now I can get into more details here. Sandhop finished the translation in 1990, but marketing pushed it into the fall of 1991. Sandhop stated, "Once the Super NES squatted in the pipeline and shoved the game aside from its appointed time, I believe that the marketing execs just decided that the game would be too expensive to produce and unsuccessful without marketing, and that's why it fell into oblivion. Too expensive may have been the actual production of the translation, but would have definitely pushed the budget over the edge is the supposed 80-plus page instruction manual themed like Grandpa George's Diary, a map of the Earthbound Beginnings world, and the international release of the vocal album bundled into." Pippi is the first party member that Ninten can acquire, even if it's temporary. Pippi is based off the fictional character Pippi Longstockings by Astrid Lindgren. Her name comes from the character, of course, as well as Pippi's mother name, Lindgren, being a reference to the author. Other references include Pippi's in-game stats being references to the books, which call her the strongest girl in the world, as well as Pippi's hair being red and in pigtails in every piece of art. I have no idea why it's on here, but I'm just going to go with PKB being an exclusive PSI move to its debut game, although that isn't special even for moves from Beginnings, with 4th D-Slip one of my personal favorite PSI moves, Super Healing or Brand Cyclone being other examples of PSI exclusive to Beginnings. Or I could be completely wrong, and this was a waste of time. This is referring to after the original release of Beginnings. All other releases afterwards censored several things, like namely smoking. The Crow is the most famous example, mostly because of absolutely iconic this dude is. He is the GOAT when it comes to enemy design, you can't change my mind either. That and the Blah Blah Gang members, also known as the Black Blood Gang, lost their cigarettes too. I love the way they look too with the stylized shadows. I love the designs for this series, and especially this game. Earthbound Beginnings is the only game in this series that has more than one Franklin badge. That's the only thing I'm saying for now, because the Franklin badge is brought up later in this item. Gigu is the name of the antagonist of Earthbound Beginnings. Geeg is the antagonist of Mother 2. Gygus is the name of the antagonist of Earthbound. See something weird here? Due to localization team changes in between Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound, changes in names and terms were sure to change with it. The origin of Gygus' name was simply to make it sound strange and unsettling, and if you knew the origin, you would know why. Since it wasn't on the Iceberg, I will put it here. A toy walked into the wrong movie theater as a child and was traumatized by what he thought was a rope scene. What he actually saw was the movie Kinpei to Barabara Shibijin, or known in English as The Military Policeman and the Dismembered Beauty, which was a black and white Japanese horror movie. The toy was so disturbed and traumatized by the murder scene that even his parents worried for his mental well-being. He was then inspired by that scene when making Earthbound Beginnings to try and give off the feeling he got of pure terror and being disturbed in the Gigu boss fight in Earthbound Beginnings. On to Tier 3. The Reindeer Man says, I am a man whose existence does not matter. The Forgotten Man says, I am a man who does not exist. That's all, and though that's not much to make anything out of or work with, I feel like this could make for some interesting theories. I always thought that the Forgotten Man was George, but maybe I was wrong. This could end up changing the lore of Mother. When I started making this iceberg, I didn't want to just copy and paste info onto here, so I decided to add in entries when I saw fit. The Mother series as a whole has been influential to many games, but we'll talk about Pokemon right now. The most obvious on the surface is a little kid running around in a red hat. That or the fact that Geek and Mewtwo look nearly the exact same? These connections are mostly due to Ape, one of the studios working on the Mother series, changing names and workers and stuff and rebranding the Creatures Inc., one of the main creators behind the Pokemon games. Another fun fact which I learned through a MonkeyNess video, that I would definitely recommend to any Mother fan, is that Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, actually reviewed Earthbound Beginnings. He seemed to really not like the empty open world, and yeah, I can kinda agree, but not majorly. The world is beautiful, especially for an NES game. Yes. I am finally able to talk about Mother Encore. This game is a full-on remake of Earthbound Beginnings made by a group of dedicated fans for free with one of the most banger soundtracks of all time. The game has a demo which I will link in the description if I can remember. The game isn't out yet, but like I said, there's a demo. They don't take donations of the sort, but you can spread the word or join the Discord. The game is for PC and not licensed by Nintendo and the like. Like I said, I cannot recommend this game enough, and you should definitely play it if you can. Mother Cognitive Dissonance is a fan game that takes place between Earthbound Beginnings and Earthbound. The game is about a group of aliens called the Apple Chasers trying to find and protect Apple and provide it from guidance. I haven't played the game yet, but I feel like I definitely have to at some point, and I probably will. Kinesu 3000, real name Kenneth Locke, is a well-known artist in the Earthbound community, famous for his comic Mother. He hasn't posted any art in a while, but he seems to still be good, having an interview with Remy Rim's Sleep in December 23, and overall, he is a pretty good artist. He is also the one translating it into a Quotepedia Mother. The breadcrumbs glitch is an infamous glitch in Earthbound Beginnings, which can only legitimately be done in the GBA Mother 1 and 2 port due to the NES port having a wall block where you need to go. To perform the glitch, you need to travel past the reindeer train station and go into a small forest. There should be a large block of trees, and you should need to go into a little dent in the trees and use the bread item. You then need to immediately use the breadcrumbs item and it will teleport you into the out of bounds. Remember, if you're not careful and you eat breadcrumbs in the wrong areas, it will end up in the out of bounds. It's nothing but the stink of old rotting flowers, madness of mono gray, the endless background noise of your game console running, and infinite randomly selected grids to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as magic can't hurt you. The strawberry tofu item is seen in all three games and is a recovery item. It seems to be a joke about spending a lot of money for something which tastes horrible. In Earthbound it is called trout flavored yogurt, but in Mother 2, the Japanese version is strawberry tofu. On to Tier 4. Ninten's favorite animal is a penguin, and he even owns a penguin toy, which is one of his most prized possessions. When the local zoo added penguins, it really made an impression on him, as this was the first time seeing them in person, not in photos or on TV. On the Lloyd Wiki, it says he owns an Apple computer, which greets him in the morning after he falls asleep at his microscope. Also, apparently Lloyd really likes the movie Ben-Hur, which is a religious movie from the late 50s. Like, you do you, I guess, but I don't know. The Magic Hand Fountain Man was a status effect healer in Mother 1, and in the Phil Santop English translation, it was changed into an ATM-type NPC. In Encyclopedia Mother, Ninten got an electric guitar for his father, which he hides from his mother. He really enjoys playing the guitar with his pet dog Mick listening. Honestly, it's pretty wholesome, although I wonder why he's hiding the guitar. I knew Teddy was a menace, but this solidifies it. Teddy walks into a store looking for a pair of sunglasses. When he learns that the store isn't selling any sunglasses, he punched out the store owner's teeth. The store owner, who in a sign of obligation, began to sell a pair of sunglasses called Teddy Glass. Teddy is so hardcore and I love him for it. Of course, the Franklin badge was named after Benjamin Franklin, but did he make it? Well, if the legends are true, apparently. The in-game description from Earthbound Beginnings says, legend says that Benjamin Franklin wore this reflective badge during his experiments with lightning. Honestly, I have no idea what is going on in Shigesato Atoi's mind. Reed Young, the creator of Snowman.net, as well as Fangamer, and Tomato started a petition in the late 90s to port the Phil Sandtop translation to the Game Boy Color. The petition ended up getting 1,850 signatures, which were all found to be legitimate after careful combing through all the signatures. Reed and Tomato printed out all of the signatures onto a large amount of pages and bound them into a journal. They wrote 2 letters, one from Reed and one from Tomato, and sent it to Nintendo of America in May 1999. And of course, Nintendo of America never said anything about it, which honestly makes me feel pretty sad about all their hard work being neglected. Or did they? Operation Raffini was made a couple weeks later, where people snail-mailed well-thought-out letters asking Nintendo to consider porting Earthbound Beginnings to the Game Boy Color. They were all sent back the same cookie-cutter replies, except for Reed. They actually said that although it wasn't likely because of how expensive game ports could be, they would actually try and see if they could ask about it. Of course, it never happened though. Oh, and they also mentioned Mother 64 releasing. On to Tier 5. The time machine is a gag item in Mother 1, the Japanese version only. It was made to waste your money on it and that's it. It costs $2,775 and just leads to a cutscene that you just saw a minute ago. You buy it from a mysterious teacher in Twinkle Elementary School who accidentally turns on the machine and shows the room that Lloyd accidentally blew up. During an interview with Yoshio Sakamoto, Itoi revealed that the original name for Mother 1 was ESP-1. ESP means extrasensory perception, also known as psychic powers. We don't know much about the actual designs and origins of the Mother series, so it's cool to see that even then, psychic powers had a place in the series. I didn't know anything about this, and it is honestly pretty cool to see it. In Yucca Desert, there is a single tile that is a landmine left over from the war. When you do step on it, you will receive a message from a toy thanking you for spending so much time trying to find the Easter egg. After you do, it spreads a rumor around the town of LA that you stepped in a pile of dog poop. Okay, so this one sounds pretty dark at first, but I ended up really liking this Easter egg. If you walk to the inside of the train tunnel, you can find a skeleton on the train tracks who, after you talk to him, will say, "Get on the train or you will have a hard time like me." Honestly though, there's just something about this entry that I really like. I failed, guys. I couldn't find anything on this. As a way of saying sorry, I have some other facts about Anna. She is a devout Christian and her most prized possession is her Bible, although that's pretty well known. Her name Anna is Turkish for mother. Also, Anna is the only party member in Earthbound Beginnings who can learn offensive PSI. If anyone can find the information on this, I would be very happy. In the Mother to Earth documentary, Keiichi Suzuki, one of the 3 composers of the Mother series, told the interviewers about how the music for Earthbound Beginnings was made. I recommend the whole documentary, but I will summarize what Keiichi said. When Hirokazu and Keiichi made music, Keiichi made the music on piano as well as guitar, and Hirokazu turned the song into computer data. Over time, they would refine the songs over time, but Keiichi over here is just doing the whole height Death Note page writing on the piano, and Hirokazu is just, we can't do that, Chief. The NES hardware simply couldn't handle the original version of Pollyanna, a I'm guessing too many channels or instruments, but I don't know. Another one of Nintendo's most prized possessions that I brought up during the Penguin entry is a bent spoon. Ninten was so full after eating at a hot dog stand that during dinner he just couldn't control anything and he bent the spoon with his mind, which is how he learned about PSI. Honestly, a pretty strange way to learn about your otherworldly powers from space. On to Tier 6. In the files of the game, you can find an unused text description for the Teddy fight that says, "Maybe he's not really brought into the core." In the files for the game is an enemy called Doll, which is called that because the enemy is located next to the actual doll enemy. You can see the sprite in the files, which is a pillow. It doesn't have a color palette because of how color is loaded in Earthbound Beginnings. It has the same stats as the doll enemy, but with 2 less HP. Since it's located right near the doll enemy and it has a weak stat spread, as well as it being a possessed household object, this was almost definitely intended to be fought inside of your house along with the lamb and doll enemies. In the files for the game is an enemy called Doll, which is called that because the enemy is located next to the actual doll enemy. You can see the sprite in the files, which is a pillow. It doesn't have a color palette because of how color is loaded in Earthbound Beginnings. It has the same stats as the doll enemy, but with 2 less HP. Since it's located right near the doll enemy and it has a weak stat spread, as well as it being a possessed household object, this was almost definitely intended to be fought inside of your house along with the lamb and doll enemies. In the data for the game, there's an unused battle sprite for Pippi that has the name Gang Zombie due to the enemies being located next to Pippi. And can we talk about the sprite as well as her play model? I love it. Her battle stats are pretty low except for her PvP stat, which is incredibly high. People think you would have had to battle her after breaking her out of her coffin. If you wanted to see what an actual battle against Pippi would look like, as well as have some great music for the battle, Mother Encore has a Pippi fight, so once again, go try out Mother Encore. I don't know if there's more than one description for the boss, as it does say descriptions, but it says spooky. The doll walks by itself. I love the emotions that are inside of this game. On to the final tier. I believe this is referring to in the original cartridge leaked by Jimmy Flippers, also known as the TK69 cartridge. On the back of the cartridge it says date, February 24th, 1994. Due March 15th, 1994. I couldn't necessarily find anything about Canada being involved here, but if the translation that was cancelled in 1990 randomly got brought up again in 1994, it's probably because they intended to finally localize it. Of course, I don't know that for sure, but maybe in the lead up to Earthbound, they intended to finally release the translation. Yasuyuki Hon, director of the Baden Kaido series, in 2003 pitched the idea of an Earthbound game with a felt aesthetic. Although the main character was named Ness in the mock images, people think that it was an Earthbound Beginnings remake because of the wording of his tweet, as well as the bag-lady enemy appearing in the pitch. It is widely agreed on that the reason the pitch wasn't picked up on was because Toy and the rest of the Mother devs were in the process of resurrecting the corpse of Earthbound 64 at the time. They simply were too busy, as well as a general discomfort towards 3D games after the Earthbound 64 thing. Recently, Yasuyuki posted an image of a model to celebrate Xenoblade Chronicles 14th anniversary, in which in the foreground, you can see that he still actually has the pitch sitting around in his house. Also, yeah, the pitch's felt aesthetic was because it was actually made of felt. Honestly, pretty cool, although I don't know how I feel about an Earthbound game made by people who make actual, regular RPGs. Okay, so Spacebound was the trademark name for a sequel to Earthbound Beginnings. To clear this up, while the localization for Mother 1 was being made, Nintendo of America filed a trademark for Spacebound, which was a supposed sequel to Earthbound Beginnings, which would have followed the events after the end of the game, and still have the main protagonist of Beginnings as well. That means that in the original idea for Mother 2, you would have played as Ninten instead of Ness. I'm guessing the plot would have revolved around something new that was brought up at the end of Beginnings. I have no idea though, but this seems pretty cool. I couldn't actually find anything direct on this, but I can make some guesses. Of course, when the aliens abducted George and Maria in 1900X, they ended up acting as Gigu's parents. I'm guessing George experimenting on Gygus without his consent, taking advantage of him, and then leaving his son, leaving his wife. Studies have found that children that are abused by a parent still show signs of showing care, loving, and feeling close to their abuser. This can be shown by how even though Gigu hates the human race and wants to wipe them out completely, he still shows care, saying how lovely Maria was, now he misses her, and that he will spare Ninten if he stops fighting, showing sympathy to family members of the one who abused him. Some of this was my own, but Khaj, the creator of the Iceberg, touched upon this slightly in a post about how amazing Earthbound Beginnings is, and honestly, I agree. Earth Adventure is the name of the mother series in the Chinese/Taiwan areas of the world. The most disturbing entry by far for the end of the Iceberg. In 1987, a toy sat exhausted at a train station after years of work on a game that was seriously beginning to fall apart. A mysterious man in a black suit with a red tie sat down next to the toy and gave him an offer. No one else would know about the deal, but a toy would accept, and the next day, things began to look up for the game. Within the next year, the game was finished, but things were different. The game testers began to complain about inconsistencies in between playthroughs. Ninten had a different colored hat, a new enemy began to sprout up in Podunk. Oh, and you know this is fake. I just love to see these types of trolls at the bottom of icebergs, usually for just a fun way to say goodbye to the iceberg. And while we're talking about that, and here's the end of the video. This video has taken quite a long time, and the script itself has taken 4-5 weeks. It's been so fun to find things out about one of my favorite games of all time. If you like the video, make sure to like and subscribe if you want to, as well as comment down below if you have any information on entries I couldn't find, or some information I missed. Thank you for watching.